Attention musicians, if you're thinking of being or just starting a solo act on your own, go to a place on the internet where you can get equipment at great prices. HelloMusic.com. They have guitars, amps, mixers, and microphones, some at great low prices. Log on today and look at the equipment and the prices. www.hellomusic.com. Like them on Facebook for chances to win guitars, mics, and other band equipment. Remember to use Hello Music. GJRB in 2016. Still the What's Happening sound. Back on the Gary Russen program here on GJRB on Spreaker across America and around the world, and giving you the best in talk radio on the internet all over Spreaker land. Hope you're enjoying the program, and we're wrapping up this show with our next to the last half hour here as we wrap up our show. And I'll give you a chance to be part of the program as I continue to post the show all over the Ethernet, the internet, the big box, the internet, you know. This is where we have it, man. The Gary Russen program on GJRB. I'm glad you could be aboard the program today. Got a lot of stuff. You want to get a call? Area code 563-613-4260. We're in the midst of the Twitter site right now. And let's see, going through a lot of stuff. Spreaker has this thing called Get the Most Out of Your Pre-Roll podcast. You know, you don't get that unless you pay their extra premium for it. Well, you know, give it to me free. I'd love to have a jingle package. Come on, man. You know, really, it would be kind of nice to have a jingle package. Please. Anyway, I saw these already. May 31st. Why am I reminded of of something that why they do that? Anyway, I had notifications that I've already seen them, so it's there. I don't know why they do that. Let's go back down the line here. Let's see what other news is going on and see what other stuff is going on. Hey, where we go? Here we are. GJR, the Gary Russen program, 061516 part 4 is now on Twitter, so come on aboard and join me here. I'm going through Twitter right now, so if you want to be part of the program, do that. Let's see what we got here. Some not that many really interesting postings. Here's one. This is from the Daily Mail Online. Check this out. Airbus A320 pilots abort takeoff after they realized that the cockpit window was opened. Well, that's being alert and being alive. Wow! Check this out. This is from Daily Mail. Check this out. This is interesting. They discovered that the window was open in the cockpit. Air Arabia, Airbus A320 Same pilot as Egypt Air's Flight 804, which crashed in the Mediterranean back in May. It's about to fly out from Amsterdam to Tangier when the flight crew rejected the takeoff. The plane, he said, was been traveling at low speed, stopped at about 3,000 feet down the runway when the serving pilot remained anonymous. That's what he wishes to believe in, anonymous. He believed the blame lies squarely on the flight crew. The fact that the window open was very bad reflection on the crew, who obviously had not complicated their checks, not doing their checks correctly. All pre-flight and before takeoff checklist mentioned closing windows. They didn't go through their checklist. How about that? Indeed, the windows had a double lock for safety, so they should never be able to be opened in flight. Makes sense. So they didn't have their window closed. Do you wonder if a pilot was sitting there having a smoke and forgot to shut the window? Yeah, I mean, sure, you got to think about that. That's a possibility. I mean, pilot would sneak a cigarette out the window there and forget to open the, makes sense, right? There you go. Probably opened the window and forgot to do that, 2 minutes past our weather on the 5, so I'm going to get that set for 25 after. Okay, so be aware of that. And you can also talk to me today, the Gary Russen program on Skype. I'm online, my status online. You could be there and open up the lines, be on the air with me at Gary.Russen and or the cell, area code 563-613-4260. And you can be on the air with me here on the Gary Russen program. That's simple. Area code 563-613-4260. And you can be on the Gary Russen program here on GJRB Online. Here, this one. Ben Osan. How you doing, Ben? How you doing today? I posted an interesting article on Facebook saying that Steven Seagal thinks that many mass shootings are engineered by the government. Raising a false flag. How about this one? This is a good one. Okay, Steven Seagal, he's a actor, says that a few issues right now are contention that the gun control, right? We have the gun control is the big thing. And issues happen to be a false flag. Actor Steven Seagal, who had previously sounded off on both in an interview with RT, an action star turned Second Amendment fundamentalist, claimed a lot of domestic shootings in America were engineered in order to drum up support for gun control legislation. It does make sense, folks. He speaks forcefully in an interview on RT.
I think your own country, the United States, has a very complicated relationship with guns because on one hand it's almost perceived as a symbol of freedom protected by the Second Amendment, but on the other hand it also created specifically American form of violence, mass shootings in schools and universities. So I wonder, where do you stand on the issue of gun control in the United States?
Well, first of all, I believe in the Second Amendment and the Constitution more than anything in the world. And I think that Adolf Hitler, for example, when he wanted to annihilate the people of Germany, the first thing he did was take away their guns. And the rights to bear arms wasn't just to protect the people from foreign invaders, it was to protect them against evil governments and anyone that would violate their inherent rights as a human being. So I believe in the Second Amendment, and I believe that, I hate to say this, a lot of these mass murders and all this funny stuff that's going on, I believe a lot of this is engineered.
There you go. Yeah, he believes it's all engineered by the government. Conspiracy theory. I've got a lot of those. Believe me, I got a friend of mine who keeps asking me about it. But anyway, conspiracy theory, false flag. Shooting conjures up intense emotions on both sides. Truthers claim the government uses either CIA operatives or patsies. You remember who that was, right? Think about it. Who said he was a patsy? Lee Harvey Oswald. How about that? Makes you wonder, doesn't it? Yep. How about that? Well, it's controlled by what they call the, and I can't pronounce that, Mekultra, I guess it is called. Anyway, they're saying that these conspiracy theories, these false flags, whether you believe them or not, provide in concrete proof detracted from the document fact of the governments do partake in conspiracies and false flag operations. However, while the mechanism by which domestic shootings could be engineered is still unknown, Mekultra program is established to historical fact. Researchers are still uncovering CIA connections from this time period, but we do not know about experimental subjects, including Ted Kaczynski's, who's the Unabomber. We don't know about that. So what do you think of that? Yeah, Steven Seagal says that many mass shootings are engineered by the government. Well, you know, I could think that. Look what happened in Orlando. But see, in Orlando, this mass shooting at a gay bar, I really don't think the government was going to go in and make sure that some guy's going to gun down a bunch of homosexuals in a gay nightclub in Orlando. I just don't think the government was going to plan that out. I mean, really. I mean, why would they do that? So, I mean, I'm on the fence on this one. Because he's got a point there. We have gun control laws, right? That's what they want. They want to take away the guns from the American people. He said that the Nazis did that in Germany just before they took over. Remember? Those who lived that long ago. Remember? Yeah, well, you know, like I said before, here we go. Is it true? Maybe it is. Possibility. Why, you know, the government could plan that out. They could thwart it out. They could say, hey, we're gonna take control. You know. I mean, really. What's to stop them? I got a story that I want to do before I go off the air today, and I'm going to bring it out here because I am a radio buff. I love radio. The reason I do this is because of my love of radio. And I was going to put this in as today's matter of opinion. But there's a story reporting here that millennials are forfeiting AM/FM radio, and they're planning on taking AM/FM radios out of cars. AM/FM radio, you know, terrestrial radio. Your local radio station. The place for information. Your local radio station. They want to take it away from you. Now here's a communist plot. Why do these people so dead against local broadcasting? You need local radio in case of an emergency. Wait a minute. Here we go. We take away our AM/FM radios. No information. They bomb us by surprise because what? They took the radio. Who did that? Did you ever see the motion picture in which the motion picture, her name was Corrie ten Boom. She was the one who helped hide a lot of Jews from the Nazis in World War II. During that time, there's a good movie about this called The Hiding Place. And in the motion picture, there's a story depicted that the Nazis did not want you to hear what they're doing. So they confiscated people's radios, did they not? I could be a conspiracy theorist right now and say, there's a plot to take away our radios, eliminate AM, FM radio from cars and yeah, your terrestrial radio. They call it the excuse because they say that today's youth, millennials, are abandoning AM, FM radios because they say that they're getting their music elsewhere. Now, I'm on the fence on this one too. First off, I love my local radio station. I partnered with my local radio station because I believe in them. And that's KROS here in Clinton, Iowa. 1340 AM and FM 105.9. Tremendous radio stations. Tremendous radio stations. Absolutely. I stand behind them because KROS is the local source of information. Now, they have been voted over the past several years, at least the past 3 years. They were voted. They have been voted the most listened to radio station in Clinton, Iowa. Believe it or not, they still continue to be the favorite radio station among listeners here in Clinton. 1340 and FM 105.9 still voted Clinton's favorite radio station. Still voted. So really, local radio is still good in this area. But they're saying that they're abandoning local radio because you get more variety. And here's the deal, and the article states it, and another article states it, that local radio is signed its death warrant, mainly because a lot of advertising. Now, I listen to a lot of stations in this area. Mix 96, which is our top 40 station here. It's a popular station. Let's see, Q106.5, which plays classic rock. Some of the stations in this area are really good. I like to listen to them, but you do sit there for 5 minutes through commercial after commercial after commercial. I mean, they advertise at the yin-yang. You hear 5 minutes of commercials on that one radio station. And I like Mix 96, I like Q106.5, and a few of those radio stations, but they bombard you with commercials like the yin-yang, and it's crazy. And it's because they're owned by Clear Channel. Okay? Now, a lot of these radio stations don't have a DJ in the booth sometimes. They got what they call voice tracking. The DJ doesn't have to be there to do their show. All he's got to do is voice track his whole show, and he doesn't have to be there. What do they pay these guys for? I'd die to listen to a 4-hour show on Mix 96. I'd die to do a 4-hour show on Q106.5. Yet, they don't hire because they'd rather pay their disc jockeys to record their show and leave. You see? This is ridiculous. And they're saying that a lot of it has to do with the fact that... now, I remember when I was going to college, when I was going to a radio college in Blackhawk, we learned this in class. There was a disaster, and I can't remember where it was. train derailed with a lot of toxic chemicals. The radio station in that area was owned by Clear Channel. There was no one in the booth. They called the radio station, there's no one in the booth. There's no one. Yet they're broadcasting, they're playing programming, but the disc jockey, there's no one in the booth. No one. It's an automated computer doing everything. No one there, right? They called the radio station. They went down to the radio station. The door's locked. But I guess there was a window you could see inside, and they saw no one at the microphone. That Clear Channel station got a hefty fine because there was no one on the air to inform people that there was a train derailment with toxic chemicals. That radio station received a fine, I don't know how much it was, from the Federal Communications Commission over that incident. But yet Clear Channel still does it. They still got they still got people not in the booth doing their show. They got a machine running it. Radio's dead, folks. I'm the only live. I bet you I'm the only live. Well, look, I do automation on this station. I do automation, but I do it very, very limited because I don't really have all that much time to really record all that stuff for my show. I got enough to put this together, let alone record my show. Okay. Now I can do voice tracking, and I have done it, and I do that. But that's if I had to leave to do something. If I had to leave to help my wife with something, I have some voice tracking standing by. If I have to leave for a minute or two, take my dog out, for example. Okay. If that's the case, I'll throw in some music and some voice tracking and stuff from a previous show, or I might play if it's this show, I'll play an old segment of a previous show going back maybe a couple. That's why I keep a backlog of this show, because I use a lot of it for that standby. If I have to leave for any reason whatsoever, I can play something until I get back, depending on how long I think I'll be back. So I'll play something and have some music on standby on my automation on my studio Spreaker, which I love this thing because I like that automation on there. But I only use it for that purpose. A couple hours before I go on the air and do my jazz show, I have automated jazz. Yeah, but I still like to do my shows live because that's the excitement of it. People tune into the radio to listen to live stuff. They want to listen to someone in the booth. You know, I grew up younger, and I was a radio lover, and I listened to the radio for companionship, folks. I listened to the radio to get information, get news, to get what's going on, and to know what's out, what's happening. If there's a national emergency, I want to tune into the radio and know that there's somebody there to tell me where to go, such as during a tornado warning. Okay? If there's a tornado warning, if there's a twister in the area, and there's no one in the booth at that radio station. Now, I know there's TV stations in the area. You got live meteorologists sitting in there, Channel 6, Channel 8, whatever your local channel is. They have meteorologists doing wall-to-wall tornado watches and warnings whenever that happens on your television set. But you might not be by your TV. Okay, you might not be by your TV. People might not be by their television. They might be out listening to their car radio. You have that AM/FM radio. Go back to that, right? That AM/FM radio they want to take out of cars. Go right back to that full circle, right? Take the radio out of the cars for the people who need the information when they're driving on an interstate and they're driving into an area where there's a severe thunderstorm warning and there's a tornado warning, and they're looking out there and they're looking at their windshield and they're seeing these clouds that look ominous and saying, I want to know what's going on. I'm going to turn on the local radio station and see if there's a warning out, because I'm driving on Interstate 80 headed, well, let's take Interstate 4, Tampa, going into Orlando. Let's take, let's see, hurricane warning, okay, or tropical storm. Let's say just recently Florida had Tampa, St. Petersburg, right, hurricane, the tropical storm Colin. Okay, those people in that area depended on their radio to provide them information if they were out and about, to get information as to what. Now, yeah, okay, your smartphone. Okay, your smartphone. Now, not everybody has one of those, do they? You know, poor people who can't afford that kind of stuff. Smartphones, stuff with internet access, internet streaming. Not everybody can afford this stuff, right? Not everybody can afford to have a computer. Not everybody. You got people who are homeless. And if all they got in their possession is that little radio that they listen to every day, and there's a storm coming, and they need to seek shelter, and their radio doesn't tell them that because the disc jockey's not in the booth. That's sad state of affairs, folks. Depend on streaming. Depend on the internet. Is that what they're doing? Are they saying that's going to take over local radio, even though we could be under attack? And what if we get slammed with something that will knock our power out? Well, your local radio station can go on a generator and they can fire it up. Yeah, and they can have that information for you because they can stay on the air regardless of a power failure. Okay? They can stay on the air regardless of a power failure. They don't... See, this is what I'm saying. Your local radio station has to exist. Has to. You can't just dump your local radio station. You just can't do it. You can't. Because there's just too much involved. There's too much people depend on. And people still depend on their local radio station for information. And I'm sorry, folks. I still like to do local radio despite Spreaker. I love my 9-foot signal. I love doing that, and I miss it. But I'll be bringing it back. And people in the local community who here have a regular terrestrial radio. A regular terrestrial radio can still listen to this program within the community on a 9-foot signal on 107.9 or 87.7 or whatever. Because I want it to be that way. I still respect the AM FM dial. We need to keep our local station. And I'm going to stand up for my local station, KROS in Clinton, Iowa. So those millennials can have fun with their little streaming radio in their car. But when it all comes down to it, when it's all over with, and we have a disaster which knocks out internet streaming, what do they got left? What do they got left? What do they got left? You want to know the answer to that? They have their AM, FM radio. Yep. We got the AM, FM radio. Still in operation. Still giving you the news you need to know day in and day out. You turn it on and you hear information, news. That's what it was all about to start off with. What was radio to begin with? You know what it was? What radio was to begin with? It was a source of news, information, and entertainment. It was a public service. When you worked for a radio station, you were a public service provider. You were working as in the public service of the